Welcome to LFC Transfer HQ, your ultimate source for all things Liverpool FC transfers. Like and subscribe for more football updates. Our first news is Real Madrid plotting swoop of Premier League star that would leave Liverpool red-faced. Real Madrid are already planning ahead next season, with reports suggesting that the Spanish giants have compiled a three-man shortlist of defensive targets as they prepare to strengthen their backline. According to TalkSport, Los Blancos are closely monitoring Marc Guéhi of Crystal Palace, Dayot Upamecano of Bayern Munich, and Ibrahima Konate of Liverpool, three of Europe's most highly regarded centre-backs. With all three players' contracts set to expire in 2026, Madrid could potentially secure one of them on a free transfer, mirroring the strategy that allowed them to sign Trent Alexander-Arnold without a transfer fee this past summer. Marc Guéhi is a man in demand. Guéhi, who has established himself as one of the Premier League's most consistent defenders and a regular for England, is believed to be near the top of Madrid's wish list. The 25-year-old has been a standout performer for Crystal Palace and is admired for his consistency. The English defender almost joined Liverpool in the summer transfer window, but a last-minute collapse meant that he would spend this season at Palace, but the Reds remain interested in signing him next year. His performances have not gone unnoticed elsewhere, with Bayern Munich also reportedly considering a January bid for the defender. Alongside Guéhi, Upamecano and Konate are also on Madrid's radar. One of the key motivations behind Madrid's interest in this trio is the timing of their contracts. With all three set to become free agents in 2026, Los Blancos could negotiate pre-contract agreements as early as January 2026. Madrid's success in securing Alexander-Arnold on a free this summer has reinforced their belief in this model. With the futures of all three defenders uncertain beyond 2026, Los Blancos are positioning themselves to strike at the right moment. Stay tuned for all the latest Liverpool and Premier League transfer news, updates, and expert reactions. Our second news is Liverpool midfielder Ryan Gravenberch is having a terrific season at the club after rising to prominence under Arne Slot since last year, and his exploits for the defending Premier League champions have not gone unnoticed across Europe. Real Madrid are already considering his signing, Spanish source eNoticias has reported, and in a bid to acquire the Dutch international, the Whites are prepared to offer Eduardo Camavinga to Liverpool in a swap deal. Liverpool could sign Eduardo Camavinga in possible swap deal from Real Madrid. Kilner October 20, 2025. Diego Souto/Getty Images. Liverpool midfielder Ryan Gravenberch is having a terrific season at the club after rising to prominence under Arne Slot since last year, and his exploits for the defending Premier League champions have not gone unnoticed across Europe. Real Madrid are already considering his signing, Spanish source eNoticias has reported, and in a bid to acquire the Dutch international, the Whites are prepared to offer Eduardo Camavinga to Liverpool in a swap deal. Advertisement. Camavinga is valued at £43 million on Transfermarkt, so even if a deal involving him and Gravenberch was on the cards, Madrid would need to pay some money to the Reds, over and above sending their star midfielder to Anfield. Gravenberch may not leave, but Camavinga signing worth a try. Arne Slot is unlikely to let Ryan Gravenberch leave the club owing to how important he has become in his plans as well as a general lack of depth in midfield, but if Eduardo Camavinga is of interest to Liverpool, it may be worth considering his transfer. Xabi Alonso has opted in favor of using Aurelien Tchouameni as his defensive midfielder with Arda Güler and Federico Valverde in advanced roles, plus with Jude Bellingham returning from injury too, Camavinga's role at Real Madrid could noticeably reduce. Having already won the Champions League 2 times with Los Blancos, the Frenchman is one of Europe's most premier midfielders, and his ball-winning and dribbling will be a huge asset for the Reds, who need another midfielder or two. It will be interesting to see if the player is prepared to join Liverpool anytime soon, and whether Real Madrid are actually prepared to let go of him, and if so, how much their valuation of the former Stade Rennais star is worth. Stay tuned for all the latest Liverpool and Premier League transfer news, updates, and expert reactions. Our third news is Euro 2024 star Newcastle United tried to sign for £65 million set for free transfer after Liverpool bombshell. Former Newcastle United club record transfer target Marc Guéhi will be available on a free transfer at the end of the season, Crystal Palace have confirmed. Marc Guéhi will be available on a free transfer at the end of the season, just over a year after Crystal Palace turned down a £65 million bid from Newcastle United. Newcastle had identified Guéhi as a top transfer target in the 2024 summer transfer window after the defender impressed with England at Euro 2024. Newly appointed sporting director Paul Mitchell was tasked with negotiating the deal. The Magpies submitted numerous transfer bids and remained in negotiations with Palace during the final month of the window, but were unable to get the deal over the line despite tabling what was understood to be a club record £65 million offer. The decision of Crystal Palace chairman Steve Parish to turn down a significant fee for a player with less than 2 years left on his contract at the time was scrutinised internally at Selhurst Park. But the decision was ultimately vindicated when Palace went on to win the FA Cup with Guéhi as captain, the club's first piece of major silverware. The Gazette has launched a new WhatsApp NUFC channel to bring the latest news, analysis and team and injury updates directly to your phone. Simply click this link to join our NUFC WhatsApp channel. Marc Guéhi transfer to Liverpool falls through. Guéhi was subject to even more transfer speculation and conversations over the summer, this time with Liverpool making a move and even agreeing a deal worth around £35 million for the England international in the closing stages of the summer transfer window. Now Guéhi was into the final year of his contract. Palace needed to cash in or risk losing one of their most important players for nothing next summer. Guéhi was understood to be set to join Liverpool only for Palace to cancel the deal due to being unable to sign an adequate replacement. It was even reported head coach Oliver Glasner threatened to resign if Guéhi was sold, but these were played down by the Eagles' boss. Football is back. Subscribe to our Newcastle United newsletter for all the news straight to your inbox. Oliver Glasner confirms Marc Guéhi departure. Guéhi has captained Palace during the club's most successful period, something undoubtedly priceless to supporters. But in a PSR-dominated world, a player valued at £70 million by Crystal Palace just last year, will now leave the club for nothing next summer. That confirmed by Glasner after Palace's latest contract efforts proved unsuccessful. I think Marc has already told us that he doesn't want to sign a new contract, so he will leave next year, Glasner said. The club wanted him to stay. They offered Marc a new contract. But he said, "No, I want to make something different." And that's normal. And for us, it's how we can deal with this situation. What is the best way to get this next step done? And that's all about how we are talking together. Liverpool may well make a move to sign Guéhi after agreeing personal terms with the 25-year-old in the summer only for the deal to collapse. Given Newcastle's strong interest in the defender previously, they will almost certainly be keeping one eye on the situation though. Having moved on from Guéhi and signed Malik Thiaw in the summer, that ship may have sailed. Real Madrid have also recently been credited with an interest in Guéhi, having made several notable free signings in recent seasons, including Kylian Mbappé and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Stay tuned for all the latest Liverpool and Premier League transfer news, updates, and expert reactions. Our last news is BBC Sport Neutral's 2 months on discuss Alexander Isak move to Liverpool. Intriguing. The BBC Sport Neutrals have been debating the Alexander Isak move from Newcastle United to Liverpool, a couple of months on. It was the story that dominated the summer transfer window headlines, as the Sweden international forced his way out of United in a £130 million move to Anfield after going on strike. After defeat to Man U made it 4 defeats in a row for Liverpool, plenty of headlines once again for Alexander Isak. His contribution so far is 1 goal, against second-tier Southampton, whilst Hugo Ekitike has been dropped in favour of Alexander Isak despite the French striker having started so well. Opinion. BBC Sport Neutral's 2 months on discuss Alexander Isak move to Liverpool. Intriguing. 1 hour ago 12 comments share. The BBC Sport Neutrals have been debating the Alexander Isak move from Newcastle United to Liverpool, a couple of months on. It was the story that dominated the summer transfer window headlines, as the Sweden international forced his way out of United in a £130 million move to Anfield after going on strike. After defeat to Man U made it 4 defeats in a row for Liverpool, plenty of headlines once again for Alexander Isak. His contribution so far is 1 goal, against second-tier Southampton, whilst Hugo Ekitike has been dropped in favour of Alexander Isak despite the French striker having started so well. The pressure now piling on Arne Slot, and especially with regard to Alexander Isak, who has been woeful and anonymous since getting his forced move and £300,000 plus a week wages. On BBC Sport, they asked all visitors after yesterday's match to rate all players who had played at Anfield. There were the ratings for the Liverpool players, BBC Sport Liverpool player ratings v Man U. BBC Sport neutrals discussing Alexander Isak after Man U win at Anfield and 4 defeats in a row for the Scousers, the odd Liverpool supporter and Newcastle fan also contributing. Is Alexander Isak on strike again? Might as well, because he cannot strike a goal. No Newcastle players making the goals for him now. Opinion. BBC Sport neutrals 2 months on discuss Alexander Isak move to Liverpool, intriguing. 1 hour ago 12 comments share. The BBC Sport neutrals have been debating the Alexander Isak move from Newcastle United to Liverpool, a couple of months on. It was the story that dominated the summer transfer window headlines, as the Sweden international forced his way out of United in a £130 million move to Anfield after going on strike. After defeat to Man U made it 4 defeats in a row for Liverpool, plenty of headlines once again for Alexander Isak. His contribution so far is 1 goal, against second-tier Southampton, whilst Hugo Ekitike has been dropped in favour of Alexander Isak despite the French striker having started so well. Thanks for watching. That's all for today's transfer update. But the transfer window never sleeps, and neither do we. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for the latest Liverpool FC transfer news, rumours, and confirmed deals. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update, because at LFC Transfer HQ, you'll never walk alone.